Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time. Number one, I want to apologize. I know we're 13 minutes behind. We had some GoToWebinar technical issues on the Corebridge Charles side that he's working through. So I think we're
You got
pretty much up. There we are. There he is. Okay, great. Charles, yeah, if we can hear you, if you can just mute your line, I'm going to run for a few minutes and then I'll introduce you. Okay, perfect. Okay, so just a few things I want to mention. Number one, again, I want to apologize. Like I said, we had some issues. I feel terrible, but at least Charles is now on officially, and we're going to hear from him in about 5 to 7 minutes or so. So what I want to do is just touch on a few things with our annuity department, our home office here, some of the updates, changes, upcoming events, things you need to know about, especially on the annuity front. So we'll also going to have our giveaway at the end. So make sure you stay on right before 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll have a question that has to do with today's presentation like we do every week. Whoever answers first and correctly wins the Apple iPod version 2. And then we also have the prospecting book on us. Okay, so make sure you are on till the end and make sure you pay attention and answer correctly. Okay, so what we're also going to do is we're talking about a few things. Number one, the annuity department, which has been off to the races, especially the last 8 to 12 weeks. We're going to show you some strategies, some carrier product information, what's working great for others, and then some social media marketing pieces that you could use to move the needle in the annuity space literally this afternoon. So some great stuff that we put together. And then, of course, Charles from Corebridge, the creator of the 60-second close, is going to be on live. He's on right now, but he's going to take the wheel in about 5 more minutes here. So we're very, very excited about this webinar. And then also, if you want to make a note, what we're doing here, and if you were at our Expo this past year, you remember Charles as one of the annuity keynote speakers, did a fantastic job. So next week, we're having a lunch and learn here in South Florida for a small group of agents on the annuity side. So if you happen to be in South Florida next Tuesday, let us know. Reach out to our office, ask for me or Carrie directly. And we have a small room. It'll be more intimate, but if we have 1 or 2 or 3 spots open up, we will absolutely get you in. So if you are local, let us know, and hopefully we have space and we can get you in for the lunch and learn with Charles here in South Florida. Okay, let's move forward. What I want to do first and foremost, talk about the Expo, our 2026 version. So we're super excited about this. As you can imagine, if you've been at prior expos, you know we do it bigger and better every single year. So for 26, write down this date, April 17th, and we added a new level for qualification. So as you know, it's free for all active Levinson agents. So as long as you're appointed, you're in, okay? And that includes the networking lunch. We'll have a panel, a keynotes, all of our top carriers on the annuity and life side, and the latest health division finally. So we're going to have a launch there. It's going to be awesome. And then if you look at the right-hand side, starting at 40,000, and this is combined life and annuity premium, all the way up to 100,000 plus, we will take care of your complimentary beachfront suite and round trip airfare from anywhere in the country. And again, that's 1 or 2 nights, depending on what level you qualify at. So make sure you take advantage of this. All applications count. Okay, so it doesn't make a difference what carrier, what product, all apps count for that right-hand side incentive Expo. There we go, right there. Okay, perfect. And then this is what I love real fast. On the bottom right corner, we do a hashtag every year. Stack the bricks in 26 is our theme hashtag for the 2026 Expo. It's going to be a great day. We'll have up to 300 agents. So just make sure you qualify, and at the very minimum, make sure you register and that you're there. Okay. And it's all complimentary. There's no reason why you shouldn't be. Let's keep moving forward. What I want to do next, real fast, I have just a couple slides before Charles takes the wheel. Our latest testimonial. So, as you know, we do not sell on a retail level whatsoever. Okay, we are 100% focused on wholesale distribution. So you, our agents, are number one, most important. This is what moves the needle for us, for our staff, which happens to be in 3 different states now. But please keep sharing on Facebook, on our Google reviews page. Left-hand side, Janina, to date, Levinson has continued to provide me with quality customer service. And again, just a small comment, but it moves the needle here, gets us excited. We do luncheons based around this. We do bonuses, incentives, but please, okay, if you're happy, we're happy, and never stop sharing. Right-hand side, I'm so happy to discuss Insure Me Now Direct. I appreciate all you do for your agents, Irina. Okay, and I see that you're on right now, so thank you, Irina. And thanks for being on today. Hopefully you walk away with some nuggets that'll change your practice. Okay, let's keep moving forward. I know I'm a little rushed here and I apologize, but like I said, we had a late start. Our 411 newsletter. So this goes out every other week. If you've been with us for a while, you're very familiar with this, I'm sure. Bottom line is every single life and annuity carrier and product updates, what's hot, what's not, new tech platforms, what's gone away, what strategies are agents using. Everything is here in this one easy to use and open image. If you're not getting this every other week in your inbox, let us know. That means we have your incorrect email address, or maybe it's sitting in your spam folder. If you're new and you're not getting this, also just reach out, let us know, and give us your correct email that we should be using. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Everybody loves to hear about cash, especially here towards fourth quarter and wrapping up 2025, right? We all want to finish strong. So first, I'm going to mention Corebridge, because they are hosting today's webinar presentation. So as you can see, we have a Corebridge bonus. This is above and beyond everything else that we offer on top of the Expo, also on top of our first app incentive. Okay, so you can really rack in the bucks here, and including a 2-night, 3-day vacation at our Expo in 26. So make sure you maximize all of these incentives. We have Equitrust, F&G, and then on the top right corner, Guaranteed Fidelity and Trust. Then on the bottom is the in-house MAP allowance program. Okay, and you can speak to our annuity department for more information, or just check out incentives on our website. Okay, this is my final slide here, and then Charles is going to take the wheel. What I want to mention here, and it's very, very important for you, as you can see on the right-hand side, Josh has almost 30 years experience in the annuity space. He worked at multiple home offices. He's worked on the brokerage side for many years. He's been running our own annuity department for about 10 years now. So reach out, okay, leverage his knowledge, his nuggets, his strategies, anything that you need when it comes to annuities. Pick up the phone. RJ also brings a ton to the table, okay, and he's there to help as well. And then, of course, Michelle, Ashley Kay, we're all here to help you get the annuity in place. You paid, everybody's happy. Left-hand side, 40 carriers now that we offer, okay, and this is direct from you to the carrier. There's not 17 layers in between. It's very important when it comes to commissions and servicing, okay, for you and the consumer, for the annuitant. So very, very important. Over 40 in fact, exactly 40 carriers to date. And we're adding companies. If there's something new and hot that comes along, they have a great rating, great product, we will be the first to let you know. Okay, my final slide, and this is my introduction slide over to Charles. So as you know, we've been working with him for many years now. I consider him a friend. He was also the keynote at our last Expo, did a fantastic job. And he, like I said, will be here Tuesday for a lunch and learn. He's back again today for a Corebridge annuity webinar. Charles, are you there?
I am here. I was thinking
Fantastic.
about Bill, and I think I think you may like this idea. I know we weren't prepared to do it this way, but I kind of feel like today is going to be almost like a live podcast.
I love it. I love it.
it went it went from virtual meeting to live podcast, and I think that will be a format that will allow it to for us to go kind of back and forth. We'll go ahead and we'll bring up the uh, the the Corebridge Annuity Master Playbook. I'm going to highlight some different things within that playbook. I want to thank you all again for being present and being on the call. You have no idea the mountains that Bill and his team were doing to make sure that things were working. Unfortunately, in the current environment that we're in, there's a lot haven't been hacked, but they've locked down a lot of our devices, and so we're having some technical difficulties on my end trying to get on with you all today. So I'd like to start by apologizing for any delay on that part, and then what I'd like to do is really just thank Kerry and Bill and his firm for what they've been doing. They have been uh, anchors in our community for a very long time as it relates to protecting individuals from a life insurance standpoint and also from an annuity standpoint. Congratulations on all the success that you guys are having. Today, what I wanted to focus on was what do we have with Corebridge? Why is it important to you? What are the tools and resources that you have at your fingertips? So when you look at our master playbook, you're going to see where it talks about rates and materials. You'll see where it's talking about programs and resources, and also getting started with Corebridge. I think the one thing I want to lean in on first is under rates and materials. When you click on that page, you're going to see all the solutions that we have available with Corebridge. Now, there are a lot of people that have solutions that are available in all 50 states or in 49 states. There aren't a lot of people that have options that are available inside of New York. And so when you think about, one of the things that makes Corebridge unique is that we actually do business in all 50 states. Now, the one thing that comes up when we're talking about annuities is our renewal rate history. So under rates and materials, when you click on index rates, rates and materials, index rates, you're going to see where it has powering the future, renewing promises. A lot of people that have been in the annuity space and started writing annuities, they were very excited when they first started, right? And they were looking at, these great cap rates, and they were very excited about these particular rates. But there have been times where some carriers, the first year, the cap looks really good. And then the next year, the client's like, what happened to my cap? Why did it fall? Right? One of the things that we talk about a lot with Corebridge is that we have really good renewal rate history. So overall, 90% of the time, right, there's that picture there, 90% of the time, you're going to be looking at a cap rate that's going to renew right within 50 basis points of the initial rate. So when you go back, what does that mean? Right? When you go back to our rates, if you look at, for example, the Power 10 Protector Series, right, under the Index Annuity Rate Flyers, the Power 10 Protector Series, what you're going to see is we have this set up on the first page. To the left-hand side, you're seeing the Power 10 Protector with no living benefit rider. On the right-hand side, you have the Power 10 Protector with the actual living benefit rider. So when you're looking at this from an accumulation standpoint, you'll be looking at this without the income rider, so no living benefit rider. So when you look at that, what do we have? This is a key differentiator that we have. Not only do we have a cap that's over 10%, right? Not only do we have strong participation rates, one is 42%. If you want a higher participation rate, we have an annual point-to-point with an enhanced participation rate of 53%, right? So you could capture over half of what the market does. But the one thing that's coming up more and more for individuals, because if you're tracking the market like we are, right? If you're looking what the FMOC is doing, if you're looking at what the Fed is doing, one of the things that keeps coming up, right, is that interest rates are going to be falling, right? When interest rates fall, what you're going to notice is the caps and pars and a lot of the rates on our products are going to be falling. There are a lot of individuals that may not be buying annuities right now. I think I was doing some research this morning in preparation for this call. Bill, how much money do you think is in CDs right now? Throw a number out there for me, Bill. How much money in CDs?
I have no idea, Charles. Give me a range.
I didn't either. About $3 trillion. There's about $3 trillion in CDs. So, Bill, when the rates go down, when the Fed lowers rates and it's anticipating lowering rates, are those CDs going to renew at the same amount, a higher amount, or a lower amount?
The CDs are going to renew at a lower amount, which means mind shift change.
Okay, so for your clients that have those CD rates, for your clients that are looking for fixed income alternatives, for your clients that want to grow their assets, but they don't want to take on additional risk, this trigger strategy is going to be very important. And right now is one of the best times to lock this in, because as rates drop, these rates on our annuities are going to drop. This is not a time to buy green bananas, right? You got to act right now. So how does the trigger strategy work? It's very simple. The trigger rate for us, basically, what it basically means is if the market in this situation, if the minimum index change is 0 or better, your client is going to get the trigger rate. And that rate is 7.6. So how does this work in the real world? So I want to share a story with you. And this is what happened to me maybe about the middle of this year. I got a phone call from an agent who was very excited. He wrote one of our products for himself. He was so confident in the solution that we have to offer. And what he did was, at that time when he first bought the product, we had fixed rates that were over 4%. Right now, if you go to the last pages, page 3 of 6, you're going to see right now the fixed rate is 4.85, which is pretty good. So if rates are dropping, you want to lock that in, now's the time to do it. But on this particular statement, not illustration, on this statement, this agent put 24% or 25% in the cap, and on that particular contract, the cap was over 11%. He put 25% of the contract in the trigger rate. For that contract, the trigger rate was about 8.25%. Then he put half of the money in the fixed account because he wasn't really bullish on the market, but he didn't want to miss out on anything. When the contract renewed, right, he had 5% on the anniversary. 5% was credited from the fixed account. The S&P for his contract year over year only did 3.4, 3.5. So now 25% of the money was in the S&P that had a cap of 11, but he didn't get 11. Why? Because it's a cap of 11. You got to make 12 to get 11, right? So if the market does 3, you're only getting 3. But with the trigger rate, he was able to get 8. When he looked at that, he was like, Charles, I'm so happy I put some of this money in the trigger strategy. When you're talking to your agents going forward, you need to make sure you lay it out. So often, as an advisor, as an agent, we're looking at the highest cap rate on the S&P. We may not be paying attention to the value of having a strong trigger. So with Corebridge, not only do we have a strong cap rate, not only do we have a strong participation rate, we also have a strong trigger strategy. And before we got here, we talked about our renewal rate integrity. So that's something else that I wanted to share with you guys. Now, the other thing that comes up a lot when we're having these conversations, and if you're at the Expo and if you've been on our calls before, we're not just here to pitch product, right? We're here to really share solutions that allow you to move this conversation forward. So what else do we have in our master playbook that can help you. I'm going to tell you. We have the range of outcomes calculator. The range of outcomes calculator. How do we find that? On the top hand side, you're going to see rates and materials, getting started with Corebridge, sales and support, and then you're going to see programs and resources. When we click on programs and resources, you're going to see at the very top of that, you're going to see the fixed index annuities toolkit. The first thing in that toolkit is the range of outcomes calculator. So we're going to go ahead and click on that range of outcomes calculator. Now, the beautiful thing about all the things that we're sharing with you today, and then we'll click on yes, we are financial professionals. Why? Because we get paid to do this, right? we are financial professionals. We get paid to do this. So why is it important that we have tools like this? The number one question that we get from most people is, why would I use an annuity versus something else? And then at some point, we're going to have a conversation around the numbers. So this range of outcomes calculator, we scroll it just to make sure we have everything on the from the very top to where it says the power of series to that first circle. What you're going to see is on the left-hand side, if you click on that drop-down menu, you'll see where it says 5, 7, or 10 years, right? On that left-hand side, you'll see where it says 5, 7, or 10 years. We're going to select the 10-year option, right? So what we're saying is, let's say the person is comfortable going with a 10-year product. If you want to go shorter, you can definitely go shorter. We have a lot of people buying our 5-year solution, but for the purposes of this conversation, we're going to go with the 10-year. Now, under the historical data, if you just click on that drop-down menu, it opens up. We could do anything from 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 years as it relates to the look back. A lot of people like doing the 30-year look back, so we'll stay there. Then we have a new option that we've added, right? We can do cap, or we can do performance trigger. So we look at that, those options, cap or performance trigger. We're going to go with the cap. Then we can actually plug in what the cap is. So right now, when you're looking at the current cap rate for our 10-year product is going to be 10%, right? So now for accumulation, I can say, okay, so if I have a 10-year product and I have a 30-year look back and I have a cap of 10%, what's my experience going to be? What's the likelihood that I'm going to have? What is the range of my outcome? Right? On the left-hand side, you're going to see where it says, okay, we're looking at a total of 1,043 outcomes. Why is this different than the illustration? Why is this different than an illustration? This is why it's different. With an illustration, you're looking at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. That's it. So if you're looking at 30 years, you're really only looking at how many data points? 30. That's it, right? Do people just buy products at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year? No, they buy products all throughout the year. So with this illustration, with this tool, you're looking at one contract being issued every week for a 30-year period, right? And that's going to give you 1,043 data points. And now we have a more complete story. So yes, your cap is 10%, but the average return is 6.46. The best, 8.76. Worst, 3.42. The median is 6.5. Then for those that really love the math, on the right-hand side, I love that circle, that first circle to the top right, 76% of the time, S&P is going to have a positive return. 23% of the time, it's negative, but your client doesn't lose anything. And then as we scroll down the page, right, the second circle on the bottom right, on the right-hand side, talks about, right, break even of FIA positive returns. How many times do you hit your cap, right? Almost 70% of the time when you are getting a return, you're hitting your cap. However, about 30% of the time, it's below the cap, just like the initial statement that I was talking about with my client, who's an agent, right? So now when we look at this, and there's some more numbers on the left-hand side, now we look at this, we'll scroll back to the top. I want you to focus on one number. I want you to focus on, this is annual interest earned by FIA over a 10-year period. That first number is an average of 6.46%. So the question is, where can you go in the market working with an A-rated carrier, right, and get a 6.4% average return, right? And a lot of times, yes, that's a good question, because I know I can go with other carriers that may not be A-rated and get really good interest rates. But with an A-rated carrier, if I'm looking at the market, where can you go to get a 6.46% return without taking on a lot of risk? It's like, well, I can go to bonds, but are bonds, is there no risk? There's still risk there, right? And so the difference that we're going to compare at this point is the cap and the trigger. Because when you look at the rate sheet, trigger rate is not as high as the cap rate, right? The trigger rate is 7.6. So a lot of people are like, Charles, wait a minute. So the cap is 10 and the trigger is 7.6. Why would I even consider the trigger rate, right? It's probably going to be way off. So now what we're going to do is where it talks about the upside strategy, where it has cap, we're going to go from cap, and then we're going to hit performance trigger. Now we're going to put in performance trigger. And then what was the rate for that performance trigger? That rate was 7.6. 7.6. So now, once we plug in that 7.6, the average goes from 6.4 to about 5.7. Right? 6.4 to 5.7. 5.7 is still a pretty good average, especially when we're facing a time period where we're looking at possibly dropping or lower, like an interest rate environment that's going to be where interest rates are going to be reduced, or the Fed will be cutting rates, right? But the bigger thing is, what is the client's experience going to be year over year? You know, a lot of times when some people are selling the product, they're selling it for that first commission, right? But how would it feel if you were talking to your client and the S&P did too? They got back 7.6, right? They had a fixed rate of more than 4%, right? But then at the same time, how would it feel if the market did 10? Your client was able to walk away with 10 on the money that was allocated to the fixed account. They were able to walk away with 7.6 with the money that was allocated to the trigger strategy, and they were still able to walk away with a little over 4% with a fixed account. It's not just about how it illustrates, but think about the client experience over the life of the product. So that's the range of outcomes calculator. That's another really good tool that a lot of people are using to move conversations forward. I know we can't do the 60-second close today. I wish I could do it. I'm just chomping at the bit. But what if I told you there was another tool that we have in programs and resources that can help you connect more with your clients, ask the right questions, gather the data you need to really drive sales forward? So when we go back to programs and resources, the first section was the fixed index annuities toolkit. Under that, you're going to see the retirement income action planner. To the right of that, you'll see the tax action planner. Below that, right, the tax action planner, you have the retirement investment action planner. To the left of that, very good information, Social Security action planner. We have information on a link to the Alliance for Lifetime Income. We have the Medicare action planner, and also information on advanced markets. A lot of really good information in that section, especially when you're talking about stretches. your non-qualified stretches, your qualified stretches. There are a lot of things people don't fully understand when they're dealing with non-qualified stretches. Namely, if you're doing a non-qualified stretch, you have to have RMDs come out. And a lot of times people only associate RMDs with qualified accounts, but not with non-qualified accounts. If you're doing a non-qualified stretch, you will have to take out RMDs. That talks about it. But what we're going to focus on in the next few minutes, and then we'll wrap up, and then we'll open it up to see if there are any questions or comments for those that have attended these calls before and they want to ask more specific questions, or they had challenges, or they want to know, what other other ways we can overcome objections with the 60-second clause. I'd be more than happy to open the call up to any question that may be in the chat. But for this last piece, what I'd like to do is go to the income planning guide. The income planning guide. The income planning guide. And the reason I like using the income planning guide is because it's really a good way for you to have this deep conversation with your client. A lot of people are newer to the annuity space. Some people have been doing annuities for a very long time, but they're looking for additional tools and resources to really help them to kind of move that conversation forward. And what we've noticed is this income planning guide has a ton of things. If we look at page 2, it has a table of content. And I like it because, the one question I've been asking for over a decade that's helped us to drive billions of dollars in sales is, what do you want your retirement to look like? When do you want to retire? Why is that important? How are you going to get there? Is it guaranteed, right? If I can give you what you want, when you want, for the reason you described, and we can give you some guarantees, would that make sense? I can't tell you how many people we helped close million-dollar deals with just those few very simple questions. The challenge for some was, how do I retain that information? And how do I use it in a systematic approach that I could use over and over and over again? So the what do you want your retirement to look like question is really visualize your retirement. The other thing, once we get our clients to visualize our retirement, we have to get them to recognize not just the challenges, but the opportunities ahead. Then we have to explore the strategies to help them to overcome, to help them to cover their retirement expenses. We have to show them how to access your income, right? And identify the income sources. Then determine if you're facing an income gap. This is if you focus on finding the gap and closing that gap, you will help more clients and generate more profit for your firm than if you're just going in saying, well, I can just give you a better rate. If you focus on finding and closing that gap, you're going to help more clients. And what we've noticed is by focusing on the gap, you're actually, sometimes the fear is, I'm managing the client's assets. I don't want to put it in an annuity because it's going to reduce my trail income. What we're finding is that people are finding the gap. The first person to have the conversation the right way with the client, they're gathering resources that were probably managed by other advisors, and now that person is still working, with the assets you have under management with them, but they're bringing these other resources in because you help them to find the gap and you're closing the gap. And then we're talking about how do you boost it with protected lifetime income. So as we go through this, there's a lot of content here. When you talk about visualizing your retirement, focusing on page 3, we're giving you questions, right, that you could use that are working to help people to visualize their retirement, right? When you go to page 4, we're talking about the opportunities and challenges that are ahead. We're giving you a really good map of here are the opportunities, here are the challenges. The other piece I like on page 4, it talks about protect what matters. When you go over this with most people, it helps them to frame their minds around insurance. It helps them to frame their minds around insurance. Say it one more time. It helps them to frame their minds around insurance. Why is that important? Because no one ever fusses about having homeowners insurance. I know this year was a hard year for many people that lived in Florida, especially those that are on the west coast of Florida, because they got hit by a storm. There was a 100-year storm. And if they didn't have homeowners insurance, they had to start from scratch. Even if they were wealthy, they had to use their money to rebuild their lives. So people understand the importance of having homeowners insurance. They know I may be paying a little in, but I'm getting a lot out when I need it. For life insurance, they understand. If you're the breadwinner, if you're the father, if you're the mother, and you're taking care of your family, if you're not here, your dreams are going to die with you unless you put together a plan. So they realize I'm going to pay in a little bit, but I'm going to get a whole lot back. They never question why, because they understand that's how insurance works. You got a car, you're driving, right? You get hit, that's a problem. I ask this question. If you have money, enough money, you don't have to buy auto insurance in some states. In some states, you can self-insure. I don't know anyone that does. I don't know if anyone says, no, I can do a better job of managing that risk. I'm going to self-insure. Everyone that I know, I don't care how much wealth they have auto insurance because they'd rather pay a deductible if they get into an accident than to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars in the event that there's an accident. If somebody gets hurt, you could lose a lot of your wealth. So you buy this insurance to create a hedge around your wealth. If you're doing that for your home, if you're doing that for your life, why are you not doing it for your retirement? When you look at these numbers, 20%, right, historically, the stock market has experienced a decline of 20% or more approximately every 3 to 5 years. The average retirement is going to last 25 to 30 years. So you mean to tell me that this is an event that can happen 10 times during your retirement, and you don't think you need insurance to protect against it? Very powerful stuff. And then the next page talks about the income floor, right? The next page talks about the risk profile, right? When you look at the risk profile at the very bottom, right, it's safe, right? But it also talks about what do you want to make sure it's covered. A lot of times people are having a conversation. They may not want all of their income guaranteed, but don't you at least want to have your essential income guaranteed? Because your Social Security and your pension may not be enough. Don't you want to also be able to go play golf, have some fun, the discretionary thing? And that can give additional resources to help you to focus on your legacy. Then when you go to page 8 of 16, I think this page really it's amazing because not only is this a PDF, it's a calculator. If you're doing a meeting virtually with a client, you can plug these numbers in. You could plug information into the housing section, utilities, food, groceries, transportation, right? Then you can go back to your discretionary things, plug things into entertainment, travel, recreation, memberships, donations, and it does the math for you. Here's what you need from a lifestyle standpoint. Here's what you need from a discretionary standpoint. Here's everything all together. Then you start talking about where you're getting income from. So on page 9, it talks about Social Security, right? Page 10 is going to ask them, well, how much do you think you're going to be getting from Social Security? How much are you going to be getting from pensions? How much are you going to be getting from annuities? Now, once again, it's framing up now the income conversation. We framed up the insurance conversation. We have a visual cue of where they want to be. Now we're framing up the income conversation. And now on page 11, we're showing them their gap. This is the gap you need to cover your essentials, just to live. This is your overall gap when you're trying to cover your essentials and your discretionary income. And then it factors in, you said you're getting this from Social Security. You said you're getting this from your pension plan. This is your income reliability ratio, right? And then from there, it goes into how much of your income do you want to be reliable, right? And then on page 13, it kind of shows you repositioning from one source to another could definitely benefit you. We're right at time. And so the last thing that I'm going to just pre-top, if you want more information on the specifics of our product, we have a 9% roll-up. That roll-up is going to be guaranteed until your client decides to activate the income. Where can you find that? Under rates and materials, you click on that. Under products, you're going to see index products and fixed income products. You're going to see on the index products page the Power 5 Protector. That's just for accumulation. The Power 10 Protector. That's going to have accumulation and also the income rider. The Power 7 Protector. That's accumulation with the income rider. The Power Index Premier. Whenever you see NY, that's going to be available in New York. And then the Power Index 5 in New York. Out of New York, our rider is going to have a 9% roll-up guaranteed till you activate the income. We're also going to have the ability to have the max income and the level income. That's a feature that's rare in the index annuity space. The cost of the rider is 1.1%. And right now, we have some of the most competitive withdrawal rates in the industry. So I know we have about 5 minutes left. Bill, I want to thank you again for allowing me to get through this. For all those that attended today, I want to thank you guys for attending. Are there any questions or comments in the chat that we need to address?
Thank you, Charles. That was great, and I know we made the best of it. We started a little late, and we had some technical issues. You still did a great job, so I want to just personally thank you. Andrew, did we have any questions that you didn't get to? I know we have about 5 minutes left. Anything that we couldn't answer?
Yeah, just one very quick question for Charles. An agent is used to selling your New York products. They want to know if the Assured Edge Income Builder is still available, or is that a discontinued product?
It is still available inside of New York. Matter of fact, the Assured Edge, it's like the Assured Income Builder is a little different inside versus outside of New York. But so let's go here. If you go to rates and materials and you look at products, under products, click on fixed income products. On the right-hand side, at the very top, you're going to see the Assured Edge. And then what I like to share with people is the Assured Edge calculator. And when you click on that, it kind of walks you. All this stuff is outside of a firewall. You can plug in the client's age. If they have a spouse, right, plug in their age. I like using I like checking the box, calculate my required premium, because that way I can say, when do you want the income to start and how much do you want? And that tends to get you larger tickets. So the short answer is the Assured Edge is available inside of New York. It's also available outside of New York. The math is a little different for both products. Inside of New York, there's no cost for the income rider. Outside of New York, the cost for the income rider for the Assured Edge is 0.95%.
Great. And the agent bonus is still available, Charles, till end of year, right?
Absolutely. The agent bonus is going to be available on the index products. It's a really sweet program. If you give me a second, I'll go over the details. So when you look at the Elite Producer Program, there are a few things you got to remember. It's $1 million to get in, right? So you get $1 million, you're in the game. After that, you get an extra 50 basis point paid to you on a quarterly basis for everything from 1 million to 3 million. Everything from 3 to 5 million is going to be an additional 75 basis points. Everything from 5 to 10 is 1.25% extra. Everything over $10 million is going to be 1.5%. What makes our program unique is that if you qualify this year, wherever you are, you're staged at that same level for next year. So as an example, if you qualify at our highest level, you did $10 million. So you take your compensation and basically you add 1.5 on top of that, right? From $1 of next year. You got to qualify this year. But if you qualify this year, we stage you at next year. But you got to keep producing, because if you don't at least hit tier 1 again next year, you'll have to start over from zero.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's all. And what we're going to do, just so everyone is on the same page here, we're sending out our thank you email, and we'll include details on the bonus program, all the brochures, the link to the playbook, contracting, unless you're already appointed. So everything will be at your fingertips in tonight's email. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Okay, I have just a few more slides and then we'll put a bow on this. Charles, thank you again. As always, fantastic work.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And we're also going to mention some other Charles trainings here that you can tap into through our website. So as long as you're active with us, you get full access to everything. How to get started, that's right in front of you. So if you go to our website, just follow those yellow arrows and we can get you up and running. In fact, inside and active within 24 hours. And then, of course, we'll send your appointment through the carrier and you'll be direct to carrier, especially with those 40 annuity carrier options. So cash for contracting and leads for contracting. So as soon as, let's say you transfer, maybe you're with Corebridge Annuities with another IMO, ABC Financial, you move over to Levinson, and with your first placed app, you get all of the perks that we mentioned earlier and Charles mentioned, plus cash for contracting or leads for contracting with your first paid application. So it's a win-win-win. Okay, let's keep moving forward. So this is a huge value add, okay, for any of our agents out there. Maybe you weren't aware of this. So we have a 101 training dashboard, okay, and there's 3 parts. Think of like 3 chapters in a book, okay, and you start and we take you all the way to A, to the basics with selling annuities, all the way through Z, which is fact-finding, sales strategies, and then when you finish part 1, 2, and 3, you get a certificate of completion as a Levinson annuity sales professional. Okay, and then let's go to part 2. This is awesome. So Charles did a 8-week Zoom workshop with us and a handful of our agents, and the entire session, okay, so you're talking 7 to 8 hours of content, real life sales strategies. We played agent and client, and we went through all different types of scenarios. It's amazing. Check this out. This is also complimentary and in the 101 dashboard as well. So for beginners all the way to seasoned veteran agents, we have something for you, and it's all complimentary. So take full advantage of that as well. Let's keep moving forward. So Life Insurance Awareness Month is here. And here's just what I want to point out. I know we're running a couple minutes late, but we're almost done. But this is so important. I know Charles mentioned about the homeowners insurance and auto insurance, and some people self-insure, which is crazy. But the bottom line is, where are we today, right? It's Life Insurance Awareness Month, and your agent. So you got to get the word out. And some of these numbers are just, in my opinion, unimaginable. I mean, I would never even, just like Charles said, hey, what's how many funds are in CDs as of today, 2025? You have no idea, right? And it's a crazy number. As we went over 100 million Americans are either uninsured or underinsured. Does that mean there's a big opportunity for you? Okay, and these are facts you can pull up through AI, through NALBA, LIMRA statistics. It's all there in front of you. Okay, just a couple other things. 30% of households in this country would face financial hardship for 1 month if the primary earner passed away, the breadwinner. Okay, bottom, expected market growth. This is a huge deal. Number 1, 2025, up 8% as of last year. Okay, expected market growth forecasted to grow 1 to 5% throughout the balance of the year. Whole life and term are top of the table, making up 85% of all policies sold. IUL, look at the bottom, expected to grow 2 to 6% in 2025. Do you think you need to be focused on this stuff? Do you think the opportunity is there? Do you have to get the word out? Is the questions you should be asking yourself. And then take advantage of our marketing material and start to get the word out to your existing book, to new clients, friends, family, your network. Okay. We had an agent. I'm just going to give you an example. You talk about success stories, and I'm going to say something real fast about Charles on a personal level. I remember him coming in this office with our VP back then it was AIG, and he worked at the admin desk. Walked in the office, came in the conference room. We met him as a young man, okay, and we're pretty close in age. And that's how he started with the company. worked his way up, right? 15, 20 years later, today he's a VP with Corebridge. Okay. That's a huge success story. The sky is the limit. We have an agent that's going to be on a podcast. If we can go to the next slide here. So this agent has been with us for 15 years now. I'm going to talk about him in a second. His name is Kent. He's going to be on the podcast tomorrow that we're recording. And here's what's amazing. Success stories. All right. Back to my point. He was at our Expo, 10, 12 years ago. I remember, growing up in the industry, always did well, successful agent, faxed an application in the middle of the Expo from the business center and the hotel lobby. Okay, always had the drive, right? And he's always been, like I said, a good agent. All of a sudden, we talk about networking, right, and getting the word out, right? Going back to my point again, he teams up with a large bank, right, and a Midwestern bank in the country that has a few branches, locations. Next thing you know, he becomes one of our top 10 agents and agencies in 2025 out of nowhere. Always did good. Now all of a sudden he is crushing it. So again, and by the way, you'll hear a story tomorrow, but anything is possible. Anyone can do it, right? Look what Charles did with AIG, then American General, then Corebridge. Look at Kent. Proof is in the pudding. And then even a few weeks back, we had a great podcast, episode 60, with Eddie and his son. This guy was homeless, living in a stadium. I mean, and to MDRT, top of the table, lifetime top of the table member. Okay, anything is possible. And these are two podcasts. This is one I sat down with Charles and Carrie, my father, for an hour. We'll include that in the thank you email. But check these out. There's so many good nuggets, and you can learn from these people and these ideas, right? And if you get a little motivated, a little inspired, and you try something new that afternoon or when you're done listening, it's a win, and it costs you nothing, not a penny. Anyway, you get the point. Let's keep moving forward. So we have the lunch and learn on Tuesday with Charles that I mentioned earlier. That's limited seating. So again, if you are up for that 12:30 Tuesday, let us know, and hopefully we'll be able to get you in. I think we're almost capped out. On the left-hand side, these are awesome events. This is our IUL workshop. I just pointed out a great bullet statistic, how IUL is up again. You need to know enough to be dangerous. So this is part 2 workshop, left-hand side, October 2nd. We're giving free CE credit for the IUL workshop in South Florida. Even if you're from Georgia, Northern Florida, you want to drive down, let us know. We'll get you in. Right-hand side, Manhattan Life. We're doing the same thing. We're going to do a breakfast and learn on November 7th at 9 a.m. with Manhattan Life, which is also part of Insure Me Now Direct instant decision platform. Let's keep moving forward. I got 2 slides, and then we are done. We'll have our giveaway, and we're only about 6 or 7 minutes late, which isn't too bad considering what we went through the first 10, 15 minutes. So again, my apologies. This is think of this like a dinner menu training event. So these are all of our upcoming webinars. Coach Chris on the 10th next week. You don't want to miss that. That's our quarterly updates call with one of the top consultants, not tied to any carrier. He's going to give you the 100-foot overview on all annuity carriers and products. And then just under that banner, Surety, right-hand side, Kansas City Life. And then we're bringing in our third-party leads vendor that we work close with, Columbus Life. And then Lincoln is back with their indexed annuity and MIGA story. Okay, let's go to the final slide here, and we are done. I'm going to talk about first my Positive Tuesday quote, then I'll ask my question, and hopefully you answer correctly and you're still on. Most people live for vacations and weekends. Most overachievers don't even know what day it is. Okay, it doesn't mean vacations and weekends aren't great. Of course they are. Okay, but when you're so wrapped up in the day-to-day and you love what you do, we were just talking about this earlier, right? It's not work. It becomes fun. You're helping people. You're helping yourself. You're helping your family. You're coming up with new ideas, right? I just gave you 2 great examples, personal stories of people that are now crushing it. Choose your lane. Keep your foot on the gas. And again, the sky is the limit. My final webinar question. And then we are done. Make sure your little fingers are on the keyboard. You're ready to answer first and correctly. I mentioned it a few times, gave you a couple hints. How many annuity carriers does Levinson and Associates work with directly? How many annuity carriers do we offer to the Levinson agents? I had a slide on this. Tell me the magic number and you win Apple AirPods, the latest version, and our prospecting book, our IUL prospecting book on us. Andrew's going to tell us who is first, who is correct. Andrew?
Okay, it is Holiday A. So Holiday A.
Holiday A. Congrats. The answer was 40. 40 carriers on the annuity side you have direct access to. Don't forget April 17th, 2026. Register for the Levinson Expo. Okay, stack the bricks in 26. You can't forget that hashtag. I hope you enjoyed this. And again, I apologize about the technical issues on the Corebridge side. Hopefully you walked away with a nugget or two. Keep your eyes peeled for our thank you email. Great selling. We're here to help you every step of the way. Thanks again, everyone.